Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hello and welcome to episode 288 of the AFTN podcast. I have been denied membership from the Optimist Union. I am Joe Deasy. I am joined by the Yao Ming of Langley, Nicholas Ruprecht.
Greetings.
For those who don't know, Nick is quite tall. Opening question, Nick. Let's break the ice nice and early. If you could select a handful of Whitecaps to star in a famous movie, which players and what movie would it be?
I went with Die Hard,
Classic.
classic Christmas movie.
We won't get into the Christmas movie debate, but okay, yeah.
I said Waston could be John McClane,
Of course.
and
Curling his toes up on the carpet early in the movie.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I've heard Felipe is a master of dark arts, so I think he could be Hans Gruber.
Mm-hmm. Who would be his henchman on the team?
Who is henchman? Maybe Efren Juarez.
Yeah.
could be his henchman.
He should be Hans Gruber, really,
Maybe.
when you think about
Maybe.
it. Or Reyna could be in there as well.
Maybe Reyna. Yeah.
The question is a fun question, but all I came up with was Kai Kamara and Alphonso Davies as the two main guys and the other guys, with Will Ferrell and what's his name? This isn't a movie podcast, so we won't dwell on it too long.
He's in a lot of movies.
He's a good actor.
Marky Mark.
Yes, there you go.
Marky Mark.
Yeah, Will Ferrell and Marky Mark. Because, they seem to have a lot of fun together. They goof around, they dance, and things like that. And that's kind of a goofy movie, is it? Yeah. And it'll make the Whitecaps
They get the
fans...
job done.
They do. And it'll make the Whitecaps fans feel a lot better about goings-on. Just lighthearted, joking around. Yeah. All right, let's go to part one of the show. It's Complete the Sentences. Nick, the Caps will finish blank the playoff line.
Below.
Yeah, I'm gonna go below as well, and we'll get into that later. We have reasons for that. Blank will finish the season as the Whitecaps' top scorer.
Kamara.
Okay, I'll go with Davies.
I think Kamara has a commanding lead. He has 4 goals over Davies.
Yeah, but Davies is on fire. There's no player more in form. Kamara has 9, Teixeira has 6, and Davies has 5. So Breckshea has 3. Just saying. The manager of the Whitecaps next season will be...
Ooh, yeah. So I was, how about, I'm going out there. Maybe Tony Pulis would be
That would be all my dreams come true. Just for the lulz. Not Owen Coyle or...
Well, I looked up who else is available. Gus
Poirier?
No,
Hiddink. Oh, yeah. I think Gus Poirier is a lot more likely than Gus Hiddink. Who else is out there? Roy Keane? Assistant manager to the Irish National, of course. Yeah, I don't know. Is Vancouver the most desirable destination? I'll go with Kyle Robinson as my answer. I don't think it'll change.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is riding on if he gets in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's his job safe.
Then his job is safe.
But I think the mood around the club is...
If he wins the Canadian Championship and doesn't get into the playoff, I still think his job is safe.
It would depend on how the mood around the team is, though.
Yeah.
Because the ownership have paid more attention to that this season more than other seasons. I don't know. It's not really up to us to decide.
I think if he can get a trophy, he can at least point to some success.
No, absolutely. But that's in no way a guarantee.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll talk a little bit about the Canadian Championship as well, probably next week because or they'll talk about it on the show on Sunday probably. And this game that we're going to talk about now is kind of just a inconvenience in the way of that trophy waiting for us, even though it's a 2-legged final, which I really don't enjoy. Speaking of managers, New York City FC. Very narrow field, first thing that comes to mind. The game is in Yankee Stadium, which still sounds weird. Patrick Vieira has gone off to Nice.
Yeah.
It's not a bad job for him, really.
No.
Probably the best job an MLS manager could hope for.
Well,
you're not going to walk into City. Like Nice were in the Champions League playoffs last season.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good job. Like Balotelli is not with them anymore, but that's the kind of caliber of player they had.
Yeah.
Nice just sold Seri to Fulham. He's like one of the most sought after prospects in Europe. Dominic Torrent. What are we going to go with? Let's go Torrent. Yeah. He's Spanish, but his name sounds French. Is the issue. He's won four of the last 5 games. The game that they lost was last week, though.
Yeah.
So pretty good transition. He was assistant to Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
In Manchester City.
I think he's not come in and blown up the whole system that was in place, though.
No.
So.
And Vieira, to be fair to him, had a good system.
Play out the back, pass a lot.
Easier to play out the back when your field is half
so
the
small,
width of another team's field.
Although other teams, you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, but they'll be more adept to it because they play in it so often.
Yeah.
I'm
just thinking back to that playoff game against TFC where they pressed them pretty well.
Yeah.
And then made turnovers happen in bad places.
Yeah. Seems to have a good atmosphere in the stadium as well. I think the goal,
even though it's a weirdly shaped stadium,
but
if
you the way the camera looks, right? The coaching bench is on the far side, so it's not like some stadiums where, like for example, BC Place, where the coaches are on the near side. So first of all, you can see all the coaches doing their thing, which I like personally because it's those details that really make me enjoy the game, right? And then
count all the touches that
Patrick Vieira does. Yeah, Robbo's scorpion kick count will be off the charts. But then on the right side of the field, there's that little kind of a little slope up. You know, in my mind, that's where David Villa scores all of his goals. There's fans right there, right?
Yeah.
That was the side where David Villa scored that goal off the corner against the Whitecaps when Matthias Laba was being manhandled. That's the side of the goal I'm talking about. Then on the other side, there's this little wall because I guess it's the home run wall in baseball, and then there's like a big bunch of fans on that side too. So. They did pick a good part of the stadium to do it, but still, it doesn't look natural.
Well, it's a baseball field.
It's true, and
that's
to think that there's Miami FC or whatever David Beckham's team is called, had such a hard time getting a team approved because they didn't have a stadium, and New York are playing in this bastardized version of a football stadium.
Because what Don Garber wants, Don Garber gets.
It's true.
Okay,
it's true. Don't speak too much, Nick. we don't want to get cancelled. Anyway, back to the on-the-field product. New York City FC, second in the East, 4 points behind Atlanta with the game in hand.
It's a good position.
Pretty much where we expected them to be, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good position for them. They have a very deep squad.
Yeah.
All their acquisitions are good. They're getting homegrown talent now coming through as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're going to be definitely one of the teams coming out of the East, I think.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's a doubt. I think it's a matter of who makes it between Atlanta and New York, personally.
Yeah. Well, one of the New York teams.
Yeah, the Red Bulls too. But they've had a coaching change, and that hasn't been too smooth either. Well, this one has been smooth.
This one's been very smooth, I would say. Yeah. I mean, they just have a system, a structure in place, and you coach coach to that, right?
Yeah. David Villa, MLS All-Star, is injured, and even if he was fit, because of that stupid, if you miss the All-Star game rule, you can't play in the next game, he won't be featuring at all.
Yeah.
But he's been injured for the last few games. It's worth saying that. And it's been Burgett up front, who's been playing pretty well, to be fair to him.
I mean, he brings a different style, obviously. Than
a bit more
David
physical.
Hill. Yeah, more target man-y.
Which,
aerials.
In a weird way, is better for the Whitecaps. If he's not,
if David Villa isn't there be magical.
If I had to pick... we won't have Boston for this game. We'll have probably Henry and Aha, unless there's some serious rotation that we really, really don't expect, like, if I had to pick the type of player that I'd like to see, like against those two players, it would be a target man, because that's one aspect that those two defenders are not very weak at. If it was David Villa doing those,
jinky runs,
on the shoulder of the last defender, then we'd really be in trouble. But yeah, Burgett has 4 goals, an assist, like not setting the
very good aerially. I think he has like 4 headers, 1 per 90 minute per game.
Yeah, that's decent. Moving on, they're playing a 4-2-3-1. Kind of like Minnesota last week, but just a better version of it.
Well, I think their fullbacks push up way more than Minnesota's.
You're saying someone who has Manchester City's coaching philosophy has high fullbacks. Weird. No, that's a big part of the game.
Well, it helps in possession, right? Yeah. It just gives that extra outlet to go forward.
Mm-hmm. And that would be Tinnerholm and Ben Sweat, most likely.
Both. It's Tinnerholm as well. He's been getting goals.
Yeah.
So
well, if you're a Manchester City fullback, odds are you're in the box half the time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's how far we like them forward.
Yeah. I think that kind of, this is a wider point, but when your fullbacks overlap to such a degree that your winger is just free to do whatever he wants, right? Mm-hmm. That's really an underrated kind of a quality, because sure, they have to cover a little bit, but once the fullback overlaps, usually that takes a defender away. Mm-hmm. And you're attacking against one less defender, and you can cut in, you can go wide, you can play with the fullback again, you can go back to the midfield.
Mm-hmm. I think that it gives, like you're pointing out, it gives a lot of options.
Yeah.
Right? And the question is, how intelligent then are your wingers?
In MLS? No, I won't go there. Rodney Wallace, in the most common iteration of their team, it's Rodney Wallace on the left wing and Medina on the right wing. Medina, who's having a really good season. But the person to be careful of is Morales in the number 10 role, who is, racing-wise, is the best player on their team so far. Yeah. His stats also speak for themselves. 8 goals and 7 assists. That is scary.
Yeah, and he's the playmaker. So, yeah.
But can we draw any parallels between last week's game and this week's game? We were at number 10 that we're terrified of.
Yeah,
with decent players around.
And he roams around as well too.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're that dissimilar.
Yeah. So just to jump to the Whitecaps for a second, what can the Whitecaps do that they did last week to help them succeed? I know it's a completely different game because it's away from home. The field size comes into it and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because they're away from home. I don't see them being as aggressive as trying to win the, shut him down.
It'll be a lot more park the bus, but I think you'd be stupid not to have a plan to deal with him.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they're going to maybe add in, I liked what they did in the first half where Gazal and Tybert were sitting very deep.
Yeah. Almost waiting for Quintero to get the ball before kind of doing their next thing.
It was a little bit reactive.
Yeah. We're going into Whitecaps a little bit, but the one thing we'll say just to finish this off for now until we get to the next section is that we have to consider that there's a big game coming up next week as well.
Yeah. So who's going to get rotated in, rotated out?
Quite often we get caught up in squad rotation, things like that. There is a aspect to a coach's job that if a coach is doing his job properly, he can tell a replacement player to do the same role as someone else, right?
Yeah.
To limit its success, but in theory it should work. New York have had a good last 5 games, but their most recent game was a 3-0 loss to Seattle, and that was pretty
3-1.
It was 3-1, sorry. And it was pretty emphatic.
But I think that was because they rotated themselves, NYCFC. Mm-hmm. Because that was a trip out to...
Yeah, but Morales was playing, Medina was playing, Burgett was playing.
Didn't have Ring. And they also rotated a number of their back line as well.
Tinnerholm and Sweat were playing, but there's 2 center backs
were rotated.
Yeah. I think Ring is in the All-Star game as well. I saw that somewhere. I hope that's correct. But, do you play a player after the All-Star game? Does it count as a rest?
I don't know. For example, it depends on how long they play.
Yeah.
If they play for a half.
Do we play Davies this weekend would be a big question. Let's get to that later. We're jumping way too much into the Whitecaps chat. Let's talk a little bit more about their backline. Ben Sweat is a good left back. Good. Yeah. He's been this is all off the top of my head, but he's been there for a couple of seasons, and he was a little bit shaky at the start. I remember a couple of giveaways that he did. None of them led to like big goals or anything, as far as I can remember. But he's grown into
possession-based fullback.
Yeah, you could have a discussion of him being top 5 fullbacks in the league. Like, he would be in there, right?
Yeah, I would say he would be maybe more of an under-the-radar choice.
Yeah.
Because he's not...
I'm all about the hipster's choice.
It's all those tight pants.
Yeah, exactly. You should see the pants I'm wearing. I'm just kidding. Tinnerholm is on the other flank.
And he's got 4 goals.
Yeah.
Right, so...
Another person to be careful of. They have Chanot and Kellens in the center, but like we said, last game they played completely different center back pairing.
But I would imagine they're going to play their main center back pairing.
Yeah, I'm quite wary of the fact that other teams don't think Vancouver are very good, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was rotation either.
Yeah.
But one thing for sure is that you can expect the same system no matter what team is playing.
Yeah.
I think maybe in the league, it's those top 3 teams in the East that you can say have a system that day to day that they will play. Actually, New York Red Bulls did a big switch last game, and I think it really worked out for them. But like they changed their formation like completely, or was it the other way around? I forget. But then, like those teams have identities that they stick with.
Yeah,
they have 3 players on 8 goals. So they have Morales, they have Tajuri Sadri, and David Villa, who's been injured and still manages to have 8 goals. Mm-hmm. And you contrast that with the Whitecaps, and it's just Kamara up there with a bunch of goals, and like with 9 goals.
But again,
Chichera on 6.
I think that does speak a little bit as well to the systems that each of them are playing.
Yeah.
Like the Whitecaps play with a target man, throwing a lot of crosses to the tall guy.
Yeah.
Hopefully the tall guy wins them, right?
Kamara does his fair share of aerial wins.
But then with NYCFC, I mean, they're playing more possession-based, and they like to get out. Even though their pitch is small, they still use the wingers a lot.
Yeah.
In possession and in goals, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get forward. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a dangerous thing, yes, but we just have to be the Whitecaps just have to be aware that danger can come from any player. I mean, like you said, David Villa obviously isn't available. I mean, that limits more of their attacking options of how they're going to proceed.
Yeah.
But they still have, I mean, Medina has set up assists, and he has 4 assists or something like that. Mm-hmm. In addition to his 5 goals. So it's not just that.
Just a balanced attack.
Yeah, kind of. Like it's more like if you shut down one option because of how they play and how they're more about, possessing the ball and then switching it perhaps, then it's kind of like pick your poison in a certain sense.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Yangel Herrera, who is also a fantastic player who gets in amongst it. And
they're...
Like you said, the depth, right?
Yeah, and even their homegrown Jonathan Lewis.
Oh, I haven't seen him. What's he like?
He has 2 assists this season already.
All right.
I mean, he's like a lesser version of Davies. Perhaps you could...
Do not take Davies. Actually, the one player that we haven't mentioned at all who will definitely score against the Whitecaps, it's Tommy McNamara. The magnificent mullet himself.
He's
Chivas USA Hall of Famer.
He really got pushed down the depth chart, though.
Yeah.
Like,
didn't Patrick Mullins play for New York for a bit? And it was Patrick Mullins and McNamara on like each flank. Those were different days for New York.
Yeah.
Do you think they're cup contenders? Like, where would you rank them among the
I would
favorites?
Definitely say they would be one of my favorites because
1, 2, or 3.
I would say 2.
Okay.
Behind
Atlanta?
Yeah, I'd say Atlanta was definitely my favorite choice.
I'd go with that. Unless the Red Bulls have a late surge.
Yeah, I think the reason is, like we've talked about, they have good balance. Mm-hmm. They have a style. So even if people get injured,
someone can come in.
Yeah. And there's a lot of players that have scored a lot of goals. So they're not reliant as much as they were, I think, perhaps in previous seasons on David Villa.
The one thing
to do all the heavy lifting and do the work.
The one thing though is, and this is more wishful thinking than anything else, that whole Atlanta Barco drama thing. Mm-hmm. Like if that kind of is allowed to rot, which I don't think Tata Martino will let that happen. That's a potential for some fireworks, which I would love to see, to be honest. So we talked about the style a little bit for New York, but generally speaking, we're expecting New York to have most of the ball. Yeah. And without David Villa, they'll be possibly a bit more direct with their crossing.
Yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would expect the Whitecaps, it's a long road game. Yeah.
Then Whitecaps are back to BC Place for the midweek game. Yeah. And then they're off to Seattle.
So I don't really expect to see like a lot of energetic pressing going around.
Or sorry, they're off to Portland. My mistake. They're the same. I'm just kidding. Yeah, this game is going to be tough, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some rotation with those two games coming up. Like if you had to pick a game to win between New York and Portland, it would be the Portland game.
Portland game, yeah. I think Portland is more winnable. There's also the Cascadia Cup stuff on the line.
And we're in the same conference, so we need to get points off people in our conference.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get a tie, great in this game.
Well, like if Portland and Vancouver both win this week or lose this week, if they have the same result this week, that next game, like if the Caps win the game against Portland, they'll be within 2 points of Portland, even though Portland have like 3 games in hand. It's just psychologically at this stage of the season, it really starts to play a part. Yeah. So that's our NYCFC preview. Before we go to this week's game, it's not a choose your own adventure this week. Didn't have time because I was holding the baby so much. But we've had some questions from some of the listeners. Mm-hmm. So let's get to those. First one comes from AFTN Big Boss, Michael McCall. Mm-hmm. What breed of dog would you assign to various Whitecaps players?
What breed?
Yeah, he's a very big dog man.
Dog guy?
Yeah.
I guess, Waston, I would say, would definitely be like a German Shepherd kind of.
Reyna would be a pit bull, or Juarez would be a pit bull.
Juarez, I don't know. He would be a rabid dog of some kind.
Reyna would be a Chihuahua or something. What would Breck Shea be? Golden Retriever, of course.
Golden Retriever?
Yeah.
Well, Golden Retrievers are
good dogs.
Majestic. Good dogs.
Breck Shea has his moments. Had his moments, I should say.
Those were early in the season, I think.
Alphonso Davies.
Alphonso Davies is like that young pup.
Yeah. But who's actually vicious. Yeah. I think we've answered that question quite well. Ryan McLeod. Now this is a question more for me. Now that I'm a parent, which member of the AFTN crew would be your favorite child? I've only been a parent for 3 weeks, but it's the bond between a child and his son is what's so important. That's why I am picking. No, not you, Nick. Chris said I should pick you so that you can clean second-story windows.
Oh, okay.
Lots of height jokes.
That is useful.
Yeah, I really don't know who to pick.
You can just choose the classic parent cop-out answer.
Oh, I love
you all equally.
That's what I'm gonna go
or
for.
Something like that. I love you all.
Yeah, let's go with that one. Chris Cargan at Salish C86. Which Whitecap will be the next to be suspended and why?
Oh, that's a good question.
Juarez? No.
Juarez.
Well, he's still suspended.
He's still suspended.
Yeah.
So
And Watson is suspended too.
Yeah, I would hope that maybe Henry might get suspended due to yellow card. Maybe eventually.
I'm not sure what his yellow card situation is at. I'm going to go Carl Robinson. He's finally going to lose it.
He's going to just
or Martin
take it out on the ref. And
maybe.
But
what
I
do you have to do in MLS to get a touchline ban for a coach? Like in other leagues, it seems to happen quite easily, but I don't think Robbo's ever been.
No,
I know Adrian Heath might have because he really does go nuts.
Well,
it's Adrian Heath. Yeah.
No, but I think hopefully the discipline situation is a little bit better, and people have their heads.
The focus is definitely
screwed on properly,
and the players know that the fans are zeroing in on this as an issue.
Yeah, well, because it's pretty clearly an issue.
Well, yeah, I think 37 yellows and 7 reds speaks for itself, really.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. Okay, let's go to this week's game, Nick. Very simple game.
Okay.
I'm going to say some key stats for the Whitecaps.
Oh, boy.
You have to guess them.
Okay.
And we'll see what you think. How close you get will be.
Okay.
First of all, how many goals per game do the Whitecaps have this season?
How many goals per game? I would guess like 2.6.
1.5.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worse than you thought. Average possession.
It's all because of those recent games where they
blanked. Yeah. Average possession.
Average possession, probably like 51%.
45.
45.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pass accuracy.
73%.
79.
Okay.
Yeah. Shots per game. This one might surprise you.
Shots per game. This is on target or just shots?
I'm gonna guess both on and off target based on the number.
Then maybe like 16.5.
12. Not too bad. Tackles per game.
Tackles per game? Total tackles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like 25, 30?
17. Dribbles per game.
Dribbles per game?
Yeah.
I would imagine like over half of those are from Davies himself.
You would be right.
So probably like 13?
12. 12.2. Quite good. Second last one. How many aerials won per game?
Aerials won?
Yeah.
Total, like just the total number?
Yeah.
Maybe... including defense, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Okay. I'm going to go maybe like 20, 25?
16.
Okay.
And average rating for all players across all games?
6.4?
6.69. So roughly 6.7. No, not too bad. You were close with a few. But this is a shot in the dark, basically.
Now that I'm within 5%, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's our rule for the prediction game. So let's go to Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Well, we're in Vancouver. Richmond, really.
Yeah.
How is your Davies farewell tour going so far?
Well, that was pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty exciting so far.
Yeah. Do you think Caps fans will get kind of cynical about it? Like, the organization have been marketing the crap out of the whole Davies thing. And fair enough, like, they've done a good job with this player and they're reaping the benefits. But, like, in a month from now, we're going to be like, ugh.
It feels though what it is it's kind of like we don't know if we're going to make the playoffs, so we're going to sell this.
Yeah. If the results start going bad, then I can really see that getting like, sour. Yeah.
What is? Yeah. Yeah.
But he deserves like the send off in a way.
Yeah, that's true. I would agree. Because he's been the main creative force for the club for this season, so there's no argument from that.
Somehow the word main creative source doesn't do justice how much we rely on him.
No.
He really is the only creative source at times. Although Reyna looks like he's hitting some form.
Yeah.
That goal was...
First goal was very nice.
Arguably better than Davies' goals. I'm going to put that out there.
He hot take.
Yeah, he beat 4 players.
Yeah. And then nice...
between the legs finish.
Yeah.
Into the bottom corner.
Yeah.
His new haircut makes him look like a lot more like buff or something. Like I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like aggressive than he actually is. Like the way he yelled after that goal.
Yeah.
Like if I was in the stadium, I would have shat my pants or something. But anyway, so the games in hand are leveling out finally. The Whitecaps are 2 points behind Real Salt Lake. Minnesota are 1 point behind Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And then 1 point behind Minnesota is Houston. Mm-hmm. So it's really tight, and every game is going to flip that little mini table that's going on.
That's normal MLS behavior for playoffs.
And it's not helpful that this week of all weeks we're playing a really good team. Mm-hmm. But Nick, we were talking before we started recording, the hard games are just going to keep coming. Yeah,
I mean, looking at their schedule down the line, you have New York. You're going to have to play New York Red Bulls.
Yeah.
You're going to have to play FC Dallas,
who are flying high.
Yeah, and after a bum previous year, then you have to.
That was weird, wasn't it? Last year?
Look at TFC.
Yeah, true.
And then LA Galaxy, you're also gonna have to play.
Zlatan, who's like
in form,
if his current trajectory keeps going, I don't think you can argue with him being MLS MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he really helped that team out. He gave them some identity and gave them some creativity.
An ignorant identity, but a fun one nonetheless.
Yeah. SKC coming up as well.
Not a good game against them last time.
And then LAFC.
Yeah, tricky.
So, and these are just the very difficult games.
There's those other games that we know somehow the Whitecaps will mess up anyway, even if the opposition aren't very good.
And then you also have the Canadian Championship on top of that.
Yeah. Which hopefully will be a morale boost.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like Cup play.
Yep.
So I don't mind if they prioritize that versus the league play because at least.
So you mean this game in particular against New York then?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if you could win or tie. Win would be great.
Yeah.
Win would really, I think, would very much help them in the standings.
Oh yeah.
For sure. But probably going to be a lot of rotation because you're traveling across the continent, and then you have to travel back across the continent.
Yeah.
So
it's midweek games now, right?
Yeah.
That really adds to the fatigue. And some Waston's been at the World Cup, he's been at Russia,
and that's probably why he's not playing, to the ability that we know that he can.
And he also had that injury after he came back.
Exactly. So that's not helping.
The Waston thing is answered for us because he's suspended this game.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah.
Getting tired. He'll probably play in midweek in the championship.
Hopefully.
Yeah, they might even of course they would leave him here in Vancouver because they're coming back to play here.
Yeah.
For the first Canadian Championship game is in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
But just throw a couple names out there of players that you think would need a rest. Kamara didn't start last game.
Well, there's definitely got, what is it, three Canadians need to be in the lineup.
Yes, so maybe Tybert won't play this game.
So maybe Tybert won't play this game.
Yeah. But then we're kind of short in midfield because Juarez is still suspended. Much is probably out for a bit with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
We could play Gazal, and Gazal went off injured.
Yeah, exactly. So
do we have any midfielders left?
Norman?
Oh, but he could be. Yeah, he won't be one of the Canadians that would play.
I don't know.
You think Norman Jr. will start in midweek or start this weekend against New York?
That maybe. I mean, if you're going to take that mentality that this is a game that we're okay not winning, then maybe giving him a run.
It'd be Felipe in the midfield would be the one guy who seems good to go. I guess Norman, if Gazal is fit, Mosqueda can play that deeper role.
That's not a great.
That's not a good fit either.
No.
I didn't realize this was a problem until we actually talked it out. Okay, with that in mind...
I mean, ideally, I really actually like that Gazal-Tybert relationship.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Oh, it was...
And Tybert really shouldn't have... he should be playing because he had something 6 interceptions during that game.
Yeah.
He was covering ground, and then he had
It feels like
90...
we're shoehorning Felipe in there.
Yeah.
But Gazal was injured for a bit too, to be fair.
Yeah.
But then, Felipe and Tybert weren't starting a bunch of games together either.
No.
Yeah, I think I agree with you about the Gazal-Tybert partnership. It's the most balanced we've seen midfield in a long time.
It's not. I don't know if you would say it's more defensive in nature than balanced.
I think it balances the team.
It balances the total amount. Yeah, exactly, because it's giving a lot of freedom to the wingers to push up.
Reyna in particular, who isn't necessarily a fan of tracking back, which is fine because he's playing as a shadow striker.
Yeah,
he has to get up there to be with
Kamara or Blondell, whoever is up top. Yeah.
So Kamara didn't start last weekend, but came on for half an hour.
Yeah.
And he was in Toronto doing some advertising thing, and now he's back. Does he start this game?
I think yes. I mean, I don't see. I mean, Blondell did an okay job.
Yeah.
He got an assist. He didn't score.
He did?
Yeah.
Which assist was it?
One of I think it was one of Davies' goals.
Okay.
But he definitely got an assist.
Yeah.
So he helped the turnover.
Yes. It's all coming back.
So I think Yeah, that's actually also, I mean, that's a great question. I think I don't mind seeing Blundell again.
Yeah.
Maybe rest Kamara and save him for the championship.
Yeah.
Or the next game.
I think I don't mind which way Robbo goes as long as he commits to it. Like, don't play a half. Like, don't play a half
team. Good team with half bad, B team.
Don't go 50-50. Go 80-20 either way, right? Like, because we have to prioritize one or the other. And I think, I agree with you. Let's go for the Canadian Championship. If I was the coach, if I was the ownership, and that's what I would want the team to do. The Waston-Henry partnership in the back has been fantastic. Stable, like the first stability we've had since Parker has really left, I think. Mm-hmm. But Waston's gone for this game with the yellow card accumulation.
I don't know if that's that necessarily bad of a thing because he hasn't been playing that well.
Yeah,
and
give him a little break.
It gives him a break.
So Aha and Henry or Mond and Henry? Probably Aha.
I think Aha and Henry maybe could work, but
Aha and Mond.
But I wouldn't mind Mond and Henry either.
Yeah, but Henry could be one of the people you want to have fresh for the midweek game.
Yeah, so maybe we see Aha and Mond.
But then you run the risk of just being overrun in the back, right? Like two players who haven't played much recently, just getting battered.
Yeah,
I think it will be Henry and Aha. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable guess.
And then maybe Rowe in goal or Marinovic.
I could see. I don't think Marinovic has really done anything to lose that spot, though.
No, not yet. His kicking wasn't great.
His distribution wasn't the best.
Yeah. But fullbacks in this Whitecaps formation.
That's another interesting.
Get a lot of running done.
Yeah.
Right? Nowinski has been so in form.
Yeah.
Like I think very underrated on his effect that he's had on the team. On the attacking style of play anyway. Mm-hmm. Just the overlaps are really good.
Yeah, that and the cross. I mean, the cross that when he sent it into the box.
Yeah. From now on, let's approach the game as if we're going to rotate because we're kind of talking about two different scenarios constantly. If we're rotating, this would be a Franklin game. Then I guess.
Yes,
which wouldn't be a bad thing. He's experienced, so he would know when to go forward. And particularly in this game when we're kind of under pressure a little bit, maybe it's better that we have someone a bit more defensive, correct?
Yeah, I don't mind seeing Sean Franklin come in and playing for this game.
Then
I think that's good.
Do you see De Jong starting on left back, or do we give Levis again?
I think De Jong might be saved for the championship because then
they're both Canadian.
I mean, they're both Canadian. So I mean, I could see De Jong being saved for the championship.
Mm-hmm. Big question then. Mm-hmm. Davies.
Yeah, I mean
he'll be playing midweek in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I think I saw this on Twitter, so I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate, but apparently Cellini, the Juventus defender, said that he's most looking forward to playing against Davies.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I don't think he will feature that much in this game. Maybe a substitution. Yeah. Maybe as a sub.
So we put Breck Shea then on the left wing?
Yeah.
And then Teixeira on the right, or Ibini? Could be Ibini.
Could be Ibini.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going with our let's play the beat.
I think we have to emphasize. Yeah, we have to emphasize at this point that we are assuming that Robbo is going to go full rotation, which is what we would do if we were Robbo. Correct? Yeah. So that's our presumption.
If I was playing Football Manager.
Yeah. Well, in Football Manager, they're like just little things on your screen. They can play. They can play with 70% fitness, right? I've been playing a lot of Football Manager since the baby's been born. Because I hold him on the couch, so you just have one hand free to play Football Manager. It's honestly great. But I'm still playing Football Manager 16. A couple of people have talked to me about why I still do that. I think you do that too, right? Or you're playing...
Yeah, I still play 16.
Yeah, good. There hasn't been enough improvements, I think. So maybe the next one. We'll see. If they have the CPL in the next one, then let's go for it. So we think maybe Abini and Shea then, if we're going full rotation.
Yeah.
The midfield is going to be... where the game is going to be lost, not won and lost.
I mean, that's why I was like, why not play, David Norman?
But a young player, do you want to give him that kind of a? It's more of a responsibility kind of a thing.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but
here Norman, Mark Morales all game.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, at some point you have to test them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't sell them for $20 million.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? we kind of, as we were chatting in the days leading up to the show, we kind of stumbled upon a conundrum regarding Brek Shea.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone who has ever watched him in this season can agree that it would probably be best if we could trade him, right?
Yeah, but who is going to take him?
Yes. But who would take him if you aren't playing him is like a kind of the escalation of that, right? If you let him sit on the bench, how is he ever going to attract interest to move?
I know, but then the problem is the problem, I guess, with this is he started off good
this season,
right? He had 3 goals early on. Yeah. And then Davies came on the scene and absolutely crushed.
Yeah, but that's being kind to Brek Shea. Brek Shea dropped off more than Davies
improved.
No, that's not fair.
Like, I'm pretty sure Davies just came in and...
But Brek Shea has
better defensive work.
You remember the bachelor party when we were at the Whitecaps game and the miss that Brek Shea did in front of us? Like, that's been pretty much how his season has gone. Those 3 goals were great. I thought he would have a great season, but he's dropped off so much. His confidence just seems shot too.
Yeah, well, he's got... I mean, where else has he been? He's also been played at left back.
Yeah. He play Robbo subs him in as a left back when they need a goal.
Yeah,
because he's a little bit more attacking than De Jong, but his defensive work is not great.
But De Jong has good delivery. I mean, Brek Shea's delivery.
It's also like getting fresh legs and things like that, and like, but I agree with you. But like, what are you going to do? Not play him and just let him see out his contract?
Well, how long is his contract left? Even I know he's on like 70K, 700,000K plus a year.
That feels bad.
Yes, it should feel bad, right? And he scored 3 goals for you.
Yeah, we did trade.
But that's the problem, right? Is his contract is so massive.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure his contract is bigger than Giles Barnes' contract when we traded him.
I think they were both bad news. Like they were both contract dumps by
other teams.
Yeah,
and props to his agent.
Yeah, exactly.
For getting him that contract.
I'm reading that book, Soccernomics. And it's talks about like the role of agents, and that's exactly why you have an agent, right? Yeah. To get you the best deal
you possibly can.
Which
but
some would say he doesn't deserve.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people would say he doesn't deserve it. Yeah. I mean, counts as a DP.
He might be officially listed as a DP. I think Kamara is bought down with Gam, Tam, and Spam and all that stuff. He's not a DP quality player.
Okay, well, if you were going to trade him, which team would you go and try to trade him
to? So my idea is, and this happens more in other salary cap leagues, particularly in hockey, probably because that's what I see more often than not. But like you would basically lose a trade on purpose in order to dump the salary on another team, right? But then there's the whole MLS salary rules.
But then you have to think about which teams have the cap space to do that.
Yeah. Well, now with Gam and Tam and all that stuff,
are willing to take a chance on him.
They would have to be like a team like Colorado or something who
but
have nothing
Colorado
to lose.
Already made a trade. They got Kellen Acosta, which if you had a choice between...
Did you see his goal?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Goal. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
I mean, if I had a choice between choosing Brek Shea or Kellen Acosta, I'm going to choose Kellen Acosta, especially now, at this point in time.
I don't understand why Kellen Acosta would let that happen, kind of. I guess he doesn't really have a say.
Because he got knocked down because the other homegrown players beat him out for his spot. I guess so he wasn't getting enough playing time. Yeah.
Well, his first game certainly showed that he still has
it in him, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't think there's any team out there. MLS has a lot of wingers, serviceable wingers.
Yeah.
And Brek Shea is
very low on that list.
Very low on that list.
Yeah.
And considering his contract, I think it's just gonna. I hope it's not a case of he's just gonna have to wait it out or anything like that.
Well, it's just unfortunate that there's two kind of issues here. There's the Brek Shea contract, not good, like we just talked about, but also there's the issue that the Caps can't bring anyone in unless they clear cap space. So those two issues are now joint at the hip.
Yeah.
So it's move Brek Shea so we can bring in another player. which we need. We need some kind of something fresh, right? We won't even get into the whole Ibini thing. That didn't work, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple of other players.
Ibini might be, become like a Flores thing where they got loaned out.
Yeah.
And then eventually they just kind of slip off the roster.
But the only place that Ibini could go realistically is back to Australia, right?
Yeah.
Loan him to an A-League team.
Yeah.
And after the season and a half he's had with the Whitecaps, why would an A-League team take him unless it was a really good deal? In which case the Whitecaps would still be paying
money for him.
Yeah.
But then it wouldn't be money counted towards
salary
cap.
Yeah. Whatever happens, there needs to be some maneuvering. And it adds to frustration that we just received 16 million euros. So it's 22 million potentially Canadian. And we can't do much with it in terms of transfers until we
remove some. Yeah, but who else would you consider trading then?
Then we're talking about assets, right? And when you trade assets for assets, we don't have anyone who's on big enough money in my mind anyway that it would be worth moving them to make space. You know what I mean? Someone like Jake Nowinski isn't on a lot of money, but his potential is so much more than Breck Shea.
Yeah, I know.
Right? That's where the economics doesn't really make sense. There's these discontinuities in the way that the value works, right?
Yeah.
Felipe would be an example of someone you could try and move.
Yeah, I would say that.
But Robbo's clearly a fan of Felipe, and Tybert's not on enough money to
move.
He would attract some interest.
He would definitely attract interest.
Then there's players that are almost at the franchise level, like Waston, right?
Yeah.
I would almost put Kamara in there just based on the marketability of the player.
Well, also how they fit the system and what you're trying to
do. If we move Kamara, then what's the point anymore, right? We play this style, and he is the manifestation of that style. Yeah. So it's a tricky, and the thing that makes me unhappy is just how it's been allowed to get this bad, right?
But again,
there are people who are paid. There are people whose jobs it is to make sure that this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been done properly.
It's a hard sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to get rid of, this caliber talent on that particular contract.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just the way it works, I guess.
The best they could have hoped for is they move him as early as possible in the season when he was scoring goals.
Yeah.
Really.
But he was still kind of one of Robbo's guys, right? Yeah. Maybe not so much anymore, but there was definitely that sense early in the season. And early in the season, I wouldn't want to move him. I was defending Breck Shea early in the season, but it's kind of gone past it a little bit. On the Whitecaps fan loss of faith chart, it's Juarez and Shea right at the bottom. Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's another guy that maybe you would.
But him, you can give a little bit more benefit of the doubt to, right? Now that it's cooled off a little bit, listeners, Nick just gave me a look. I just had to translate that to audio. But yeah, I know his behavior hasn't been good, but I think it's too early to ship him out or anything, right? At least keep him on the bench for a bit. He has pedigree. Breck Shea hasn't, set a league on fire since early on in his Orlando career.
Well, in Dallas, even you could say going back that far.
Well, he was in the Premier League for a bit.
Yeah.
He was Stoke's left winger for a while.
Yeah. I mean, so obviously there's some quality there.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it just needs a different...
Oh, we bring in Tony Pulis, who unlocks his potential. Full
Bring
circle.
it back around.
Full circle. All right. Anything else we should bear in mind with this New York City FC game? We've kind of agreed that there will be rotation, so it's kind of hard to discuss anything beyond... personnel, but style-wise, we probably just park the bus. Set pieces.
Park the bus, set pieces, hit them on the counter.
Yeah.
And hopefully smash and grab something.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's what my expectations for this game are.
I would agree.
A tie, really good. Win.
I think the Caps. I think the Caps will lose 2-0. That's what I think was going to happen. But if they win the midweek game, then I don't care.
Yeah. I would agree with that assessment as well.
Good. We actually might record after that midweek game or something like that for the Portland game next week. We'll see. Prediction game. I have not totted up the scores because I have been busy with the baby. But we'll do that next week.
But you said you were playing Football Manager.
That's very true.
So why can't you take time to tell us the scores?
I have so many excuses in my mind, but I can't think of anything. I think I'm 3 points ahead of you before last week, or 3 points ahead of Gideon before last week, something like that. But I'll add them up next week, I promise. Okay, let's get your predictions for this week.
Okay.
Try and guess who's going to play for the Whitecaps. That could be one of your predictions.
Well, here I'm gonna throw some stuff out. I think Davies will come on, and I think then he will have 6 successful dribbles.
Okay.
I think that we talked about Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll have a passing accuracy of 85%.
Okay. Right now his passing accuracy is 84, so that's pretty good.
So we'll see if the averages stay. And then I think I'm going to go with Reyna gets another assist.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with Sean Johnson, who we haven't mentioned too much.
Excellent keeper.
Fantastic keeper. He's going to have 6 saves. I think Jose Aja will get a yellow card. Oh, I did get Waston yellow card and Reyna a goal or something last week. Anyway. And I think... Was that 2 predictions I made?
Yeah.
And I think Eric Hurtado will feature at some point.
Ooh.
Yeah. He has 1 goal in the season, so... Let's
Maybe
see if
he can get
double
that smashing, because he's been part of a number of smash and grabs.
Oh god, yeah, the Kansas one, the famous Kansas smash and grab. That was a great one.
The one, a couple of games against Columbus.
Yeah,
against Columbus.
Did he score against Portland too?
I don't think.
That was at home when he roofed it that time. That was really good. Okay, Nick, where can people hurl their abuse at you online?
At Space Age Robot 56.
And you can find me at Joe DC Van. Thanks for your questions, people who got in touch. We sometimes remember to tweet to ask for questions. Sometimes we don't.
Depends on how deep in Football Manager and babying Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Football Manager is a great thing.
It's like your second child.
It's true. But there's 11 players, so I think 13 or 12 children
already.
Yeah. We will probably... Who knows what the mood will be next time? We could have 2 losses under our belts next time we record, or we could have 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
The Optimist Union will be very proud of us. Great. Thank you for listening to the AFTN podcast, and enjoy the game.